Chapter 10. He found himself near the small planets 325 to 330. He began visiting them. On the first planet, there was a king. He was seated on a royal chair. "Ah, here is a citizen," cried out the king when he saw the little prince coming. And the little prince asked himself, "How could he know me?" He did not know how the world was easy for kings. To them, all men were citizens. "Come close, so that I may see you better," said the king. The little prince looked everywhere to find a place to sit down, but the planet was filled with the king's dress, so he stayed standing straight. The little prince was tired, and he yawned. "It is not good manner to yawn in front of the king," he said to the little prince. "I order you to stop yawning." "I can't stop myself," replied the little prince. "I had a long trip, and I have had no sleep." The king said, "I order you to yawn. I have not seen anyone yawning for some years." "Yawn again." "That scares me. I can't yawn anymore," the little prince said in a low voice. "Hum, hum," replied the king. "Then I order you sometimes to yawn, and sometimes to," he said with a bit of anger, because his authority should be respected. He can't accept people who do not obey. He was an absolute king, but because he was a very good man, he made his orders understandable. For example, if I ordered a general to change himself into a bird, and if the general did not obey me, that would be my fault. "May I sit down?" the little prince asked shyly. "I order you to do so," the king answered. And he wonderfully gathered in the fold of his dress. But the little prince was wondering, what could this king really rule on this small planet? "Sire," he said to him, "may I ask you a question?" "I order you to ask me a question," the king said in a hurry. "Sire, over what do you rule?" "Over everything," simply answered the king. "Over everything?" The king pointed to his planet, the other planets, and all the stars. "Over all that?" asked the little prince. "Over all that," the king answered, for his rule was universal. "And the stars obey you?" "Surely they do," the king said. "They obey me instantly." That power was a wonder to the little prince. He would have been able to watch the sunset, not 44 times in a day, but 72 or even 100 or even 200 times without ever having to move his chair. And because he felt a bit sad as he remembered his little planet, he asked the king a favor with courage. "I should like to see a sunset. Could you order the sun to set?" "If I ordered a general to fly from one flower to another like a butterfly, and if the general did not do the order, who would be in the wrong?" the king asked. "The general or me?" "You," said the little prince surely. "Exactly. Each person should be required to do what each person can perform," the king went on. "First of all, accepted authority is based on reason. I have the power to order obedience because my orders are reasonable. Then my son said, the little prince reminded him, "You shall have your sunset. I shall command it. But I shall wait until conditions are positive." "When is that?" asked the little prince. Hum. The king looked at the big journal. Hum. That will be about 20 minutes to 8. And you will see how well they obey me. The little prince was already beginning to be a little bored. "I have nothing more to do here," he said to the king, "so I shall go on my way again." "Do not go," said the king. "Do not go. I will make you a leader of government." "What kind of leader?" "Minister of law." "But there is nothing here to judge." "Who knows?" the king said to him. "I have not yet perfectly made a tour of my kingdom." "Oh, but I have looked already," said the little prince. He turned around to give one more look to the other side of the planet. There was nobody at all. "Then you should judge yourself," the king answered. "That is the most difficult thing of all. If you succeed in judging yourself, then you are already a wise man." "Yes," said the little prince, "but I can't judge myself anywhere." Hum, said the king. "There is an old rat on my planet. I hear him at night. You can judge this old rat. You can put him to death, but you will forgive him each time, because he is the only one we have." "I do not like to put anyone to death," replied the little prince. "And now, I think I will go on my way." "No," said the king. But the little prince already finished getting ready for departure. "If you give me a reasonable order, I can follow your order. For example, to order me to be gone by the end of 1 minute." The king made no answer. The little prince waited a moment, then he went away. "I make you my messenger for other planets," the king called out. "The grown-ups are very strange," the little prince said to himself. Chapter 11. On the second planet lived a self-important man. Ah, I have a visitor who respects me," he cried out when he first saw the little prince coming. Self-important men always think that all other men respect him. "Good morning," said the little prince. "That is a strange hat you are wearing." "It is a hat of greeting," the self-important man replied. "It is to raise in welcome when people clap for me. But there is nobody to pass this way." "Yes," the little prince said. "Clap your hands," the self-important man said to him. The little prince clapped his hands. The self-important man raised his hat in a simple greeting. "This is more interesting than visiting the king," the little prince said to himself. And he began to clap his hands again. The self-important man again raised his hat in greeting. After 5 minutes, the little prince got tired of this game. "How can I make your hat come down?" he asked. But the self-important man did not hear him. Do you really respect me? He demanded of the little prince. What does that mean, respect? To respect means that you think me as the most handsome, the best dressed, and the richest on this planet. But you are the only man on your planet. Please admire me just the same. I admire you, said the little prince. But what about the things that interest you? And the little prince went away. The grown-ups are certainly very strange, he said to himself. Chapter 12. On the next planet lived a drunk. What are you doing there? He said to the drunk, who sat down among many empty and full bottles. I am drinking, replied the drunk. Why are you drinking? Asked the little prince. So that I may forget, replied the drunk. Forget what? Asked the little prince. Forget that I am ashamed. The drunk dropped his head. Ashamed of what? The little prince wanted to help him. Ashamed of drinking. The drunk shut himself up after he said, The grown-ups are certainly very, very odd, he said to himself as he continued on his journey.